Welcome back to the Mindfuckery podcast. Over the last few weeks, it might actually be months, I've been walking you through the healing journey, a path of sovereign integration where I've talked about grounding and recognizing patterns and questioning what we were told. These were all the things that I discovered, back in 2017, 2018, that helped me align, helped me come back to myself, helped me stay out of rumination or come out of rumination a lot quicker. We've talked about intuition and trusting ourselves. And these were things that were really, really damaged through the relationship, where you were questioned on your beliefs, your morals, everything was challenged. I work with 5 pillars. They are emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, and financial. And every one of those would have been targeted at some point. Financial's a great one for stopping someone leaving, being able to control someone's finances and limit them in what they can do, what they can buy, how they behave is huge. Emotional abuse, coercive control run hand in hand. Physical. Now, this is interesting because I do a lot on emotional abuse. I have been in a physically abusive relationship, but other ways that you can be attacked physically are about the way you look. It could be that you become overweight or go the other way and become anorexic. It's an attack on you physically, and that might not be being hit, but the abuse and how it transpires shows in a physical way. I remember having to get a new driver's license and I looked awful. I really did look awful. And I remember saying at the time, I'm going to keep this photograph because this is the lowest point I'm going to be. And I was still in that relationship. Little did I know that it was going to get worse. What was the other one? The mental torture, the brainwashing. So all of that we've looked at, and the last week or so I've been talking about holding boundaries and stepping in. The elastic band, Corey Taylor has been talking about this for the last few years. She says if you pull that elastic band, it's going to snap back to where it was. So you are the elastic band. I am the elastic band. When we stretch out of our comfort zone and when we stretch out of what we've been told, it's uncomfortable. We will snap back to what we were. And this is why it's the gentle steps. This is why it's so important to look back. A lot of people say, don't look back. I don't believe that. I think it's really healthy to look over your shoulder and see how far you've come. Healing isn't, look at me, look how far I've come, look what I've done. Because some of that might be coming from wounds, and some of the wounds that came up for me were I'll show you, and trying to look like I was okay. But in fact, what was happening was I was running away. And I did a lot of traveling to start with. It was the safest place I felt, but there was an element of running away. It's hard to explain not feeling safe when you have nobody around you because that relationship has crumbled, is gone, but still not feeling safe in a space or an environment or at work or wherever you are. I remember, there got so many elements to this. I was getting emails, spam emails from websites, from women offering me services of the sexual kind. I was signed up to a website forum because I was a Reiki master teacher, or I still am. Did massage, I did all sorts of therapies, body therapies. And I suddenly was getting information on people in my area that wanted to do either sexual favours or wanted massage swaps. It was a really broad spectrum of what this website offered. And it took me a long time to get off that because the guy that was running it, who I was in contact with, was adamant that I'd signed up for it. And in the end, I was able to prove that I hadn't. And he was saying, but you can't, it's a 2-step process. He gave me the date and the time, and I could prove that there was absolutely no way that I could have signed up at that date and time. He was getting really quite aggressive in his replies. I said, is there any way that somebody could have signed signed me up for this and then gone back in and changed the email address. And he didn't know whether that was possible or not. Of course it is. Anyway, I got unpicked from that. But what happened to me on Friday, I just finished work. I was scrolling quickly through my emails and I came across this email and I thought, what's that all about? And it was wishing me a happy birthday, which was a month ago, and providing me with some information. I was thinking, what the hell? I just happened to see that there was an attachment, and I opened this letter up and it had the address of my ex-husband's home. I don't know whether he still lives there, where he was living. And I did a search in my emails and I found that I'd unsubscribed. I didn't know I was registered to this blood donating service, and so I'd unsubscribed. I hadn't removed myself from this website. And then I got another email from him in 2024, so 4 years later. I don't know what that was. And I replied to them at the time and said, can you tell me where you got my information from? Because I've never, signed up for this. And they didn't reply. So on Friday, I did the same thing. I tried to phone them, but they were closed. So if I'm right, I don't know whether I am or not because I haven't actually spoken to them, but I will do. This was years after being divorced. I'm still being followed around. I am being tracked, or these games are being played out. There was another one. I got signed up, and so did my children, to my ex-husband's newsletter, and that was a good 2 years, 3 years after we'd divorced. I did not feel safe in my body. I did not feel safe in my environment, and I had to go. And this healing journey was about looking back and seeing how far I come, and then working through this process, not in a dramatic way, in a slow, kind, gentle way. So you've taken, in fact, a big leap, but you've done it with pigeon steps. Now, there have been elements where things have caught me off guard, and not just around that relationship. It affects all of your life. It doesn't just impact relationships, it impacts all relationships. It impacts your working life, it impacts your social life. These relationships, these people just aim to destroy you on every level. And this is the point where we're claiming back our sovereignty, we're claiming back who we were, or like me, I didn't even recognize the person I was when I came out of that relationship, and trying to get back to who I wasn't going to work either, because that person had gone. She'd been destroyed. So this was about going back to the blueprint. This was about going back to who I was supposed to be and who I was born to be, and understanding not what I was told, unpicking everything, understanding who I was at the core, and nurturing that person, finding that inner child and saying, who are you? What do you want to do? Who do you want to be when you grow up? And there might be a few of them that have broken away. And this is something that when I first got into the holistic side as a holistic therapist, a spiritual life coach, even way before that, I believed that when we experience something that's unsafe, whether it's child or adult, there's part of our psyche that breaks away in a way that preserves us as we were in that moment. And unless we reclaim that part back, it stops. It's like a ghost. It's floating around. And so a lot of the work that I do is about reclaiming. When I work with clients, a course or workshop, or whether it's a one-to-one session, we work with calling back in and reintegrating those missing parts. It's so powerful. And it's during that time that you can reparent. Well, there's just so much integration that happens. You stand in your own power. This is where we've integrated, we've got the toolbox ready, we've got a good idea of who we are, and now we're taking those steps forward. And we identify with who we are now. We don't rush in to fix things for other people. We understand, because we've experienced it, that it's that person's job to fix themselves, like it was your job to fix yourself. We don't rescue. It's about experiencing and going through the emotions. And a great question, I was talking to somebody yesterday, a great question to ask in those moments is, how old am I? How old am I in this moment? Because it will give you an indication of the trauma that lays beneath the surface. You might still be playing the loops. You become less reactive. You respond. You step back. And I said, the elastic band does ping back sometimes. This is why it needs stretching slowly. It's happened to me on a few occasions where I've responded and then reread an email or a letter and realised that isn't what was being said. Or there's words in there that were ambiguous, and the way I've read something could be taken in different ways. And I've reacted, not responded. This is why these pigeon stabs, getting your nervous system ready, getting how you feel, the healing, the understanding, inner standing of what's going on. Holding space is what this is all about, and this is why I do this work. It's like holding space is like holding someone's hand or putting an arm around their shoulders. We've got this, we've got this, we've got this. And gradually, over a period of time of letting go, saying, you've got this, you've got this. What you'll notice is the vibration. You might still be playing out guilt or shame or abandonment and going through how you abandon yourself and the shame of what you allowed to happen. These are wounds, they're guides. It's like a lighthouse. Or even actually more focused, like one of those lights that you can get on an end of a pen, a red one, that it focuses down. It's showing you where this wounding is. So reactions are good because you can see and feel and know there's still a little bit of work to be done. It's an exciting time. What if this meant to happen to you? What if? So those what ifs have shifted from, what if I'd done something differently? What if I'd said something differently? What if I hadn't done this? Maybe if I'd done this, maybe if I hadn't done this. Those conversations that you had, I certainly did, shift from, what if this was meant to happen? What if this was meant to break me open? What if this was my chance to heal me and to heal my family, to heal my generation, all wounding, to not let our children experience what I've experienced, to not let anyone else. That was one of the big statements that I made right at the very beginning. And to my ex-husband, who was estranged at the time, I never want anyone else to experience what I've experienced. Big ask, because I can't stop that. But I can show people how to heal, and maybe they can do that for their generational line as well. I hope this has been helpful. Healing is, it's like throwing off the ties. It's like climbing out of a wetsuit. It's like being able to breathe. And as I said, travel, I used to say travel saved me. It certainly fed my soul, but for me it was running away. And now I'm able to travel and enjoy. And travel for me was not looking over my shoulder thinking someone was, following me or was watching me, because it was so bad at one point. And I even came out of the apartment I was living in at the time, and as I pulled out, there was a man standing just up from the driveway, and I recognised him. He was an hour and a quarter out from where he lived. And it's like, what is going on? Why can I not live a life? Now, whether it was him or not, whether I imagined it or not, he certainly was a doppelganger. I don't have that anymore. I don't have those reactions. It's so empowering to step in to that sovereign role, to live the life you were born to live. As always, I'm sending you loads and loads of love until next time.